Hey, you know that song? I think it's in Frozen, and it's "Do you want to build a snowman?" Yeah, you know what one I'm talking about. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. So, what we're going to do in this exercise is use the um, polygon primitives, and we're going to build ourselves a snowman. Now, I want you to be creative with this. Do whatever you want to represent a snow person. So it doesn't need to be your default snow person with the corncob pipe and the hat. It can be whatever type of creature or whatever you want to do made of snow. So have fun with this, but I am looking for some sort of representation of form where there's some eyeballs, maybe some arms, and some other types of little details, like maybe there's a hat, or maybe there's something else that you've added on there, a scarf, something like that. So how do we actually do that? Well, in Maya, you're going to notice that in the Create panel over here on the top left, there is polygon primitives. And there's sphere, cube, cylinder, cone, torus, plane. All these are different things that I definitely want you to experiment with. See how those look when you're working with those. Now, you'll also notice on the bottom here, in this ribbon called Poly Modeling, you'll see that there's also those same objects represented here. Now, as a force of habit, I'm used to actually going to create polygon primitives and then selecting one of these instead of going here, because I like to have options. And by options, I mean if I go to polygon primitives and press sphere. Okay, so it created a sphere. But maybe I didn't want a sphere that had these many polygons on here. So instead, maybe if I go to create polygon primitives sphere and then click this little box, you'll notice now I can change the radius of it and the divisions. And now if I hit apply, that's different looking than that first sphere that I created. Not only is it different in scale, but it has less divisions on that. So there's reasons why you'll want to start that way. If you're going to be working in low poly modeling for video games, you have to think about your polygon count. So starting low is always a great idea. As a matter of fact, starting small and then building up is a great way to work, no matter if you're in video games or in film. It's that idea of less is more, trying to get away with representing form in the most basic of details is always better than just piling on a bunch of sprinkles and hoping people think that looks good. So think of it that way. But let's go into actually how to create a snowman. So I'm going to actually start off with this sphere that I created earlier. And it is going to be my base ball here. So I'm going to create another one, or a sphere, by either going into create and then make another one there, or there's another hotkey. We can just hit Control D, and that actually duplicated that one. So I'm going to move that up and scale that down. Now, to make sure our model isn't going to get messy, we're going to go over into this section here, and we're just going to call that Snowball 1. And I'm going to copy that and then paste that, hit enter. Oh, whoa. So Maya is smart enough to know Snowball 1 already existed, so Snowball 2 got named. So now if I actually duplicate that, oh snap, we have ourselves a Snowball 3. And now I have 3 snowballs for my figure. Now, I'm going to go in and create a polygon primitive of a sphere, but I want this to kind of resemble coal. So I'm going to reduce the divisions on that. I'm actually going to bring that by 8 by 8 and hit apply. Now it's a little bit more faceted looking. And I want this to be black so it looks like coal. So what I'm going to do is go up here. And this is our hyper shade window. That sounds super cool. All that means is this is where you apply colors and materials and textures to our objects. And so when you press that button, it'll open up stuff like this. And yes, again, don't freak out. This is a lot of extra stuff. It's like Inception. There's windows upon windows upon windows. It just keeps going, right? So what we have to do is just kind of take it one step at a time. The nice part is I can either sample some of these materials that were already there, like a blend there, or I can create a new one. So maybe you don't see one that's there that we like. Also, I did a terrible job naming these, so maybe this should be called coal. So I'm going to actually go over on the right side here and just type in COAL, coal. So we can do that, and I can add that there. Or I can go into create, materials, and only worry about blend or lambert. Blend is going to give shininess, lambert is flat. Let's go blend. So let's go into this model, and then maybe let's give this a gray color. And so that's pretty much how we can change the colors, just by clicking on the little window here, and we can select that just like in Photoshop to change that out. So maybe gray is too boring, so maybe like a pinkish color like that. So I'm going to leave that alone. How do we apply that to our model though? Well, if I maybe want that coal one instead of that pink one, that might be a little bit strange for it. If I middle mouse button, you'll see this, hold that down, you're going to see a plus button. So middle mouse button, hold that down over your material that you want to use, and drag that into the object in the viewport, and that will now change your material's color. Let me go back and show you another way to do that. So let's say we have the object selected, so just left mouse button, click on that, and then right mouse button, click on this one, and then assign material to selection. Sometimes that's easier if you have a gigantic scene. You might not want to have to drag that to it because you'll be clicking on a bunch of other objects. This is the faster route to do it. So now I have a chunk of coal. I'm going to call that coal _1. So all I did was just click in this text area. I changed that. I'm going to rotate that down and move this. Keep moving that down. I apologize if my keyboard sounds horrifyingly loud to you. It's a mechanical keyboard, and yes, it is loud. Okay, so I'm just going to add some buttons here. And again, holding down the Control D, I'm duplicating and move one over there, Control D, move that one over there, Control D, and I'm trying to follow the way that the facets are on this to the contour of the shape. I'm going to hit the R key to scale this, and scale that down a little bit. And Control D, move it, rotate it, Control D, move it, rotate it. Now, I could build this whole snowman, but it's going to take a while. It's basically a lot of the same concepts here. So maybe I want a carrot for his mouth, or his nose. That would be weird. So there's this one right here, polygon cone. Move that up, and there's a cone. So let's scale that up, and maybe down. We'll rotate it. And now he's got a nose. So let's see in our material editor, that little blue eyeball looking thing there. Oh, we got an orange. Okay, let's just throw that on there. Okay. It's starting to look really nice. Maybe those eyeballs are too big. Maybe they're too small. It's up to you. So, maybe I need to send this to my grandma in Florida. Like, maybe she really needs to see this picture of a snowman. So how would I do that? Well, what I would need to do is go into this button right here. This is called a clacker. It's used for film, and it's for syncing sound and video. This is what basically represents how we would render out a frame in Maya. If I press that button, it rendered out an image. So I can save that. File, save image, give it a home and give it a name. So either a JPEG or a PNG, PSD, there's a lot of different options in here. And that way we can send progress to people about what we're currently working on. Let me show you one more fancy thing. before we end this current video. And then I'll show you how we can keep these all inside of this layer here. And I'm going to show you how we can make some really easy arms. So I'm going to go into Create, Polygon Primitives, and Cube. Okay, this cube is boring, but I'm going to turn it into a arm. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to scale it up just on this axis. So I'm going to just pull that out this way and then scale it down. Now that I have that, I'm going to go into the Mesh Tools, Insert Edgeloop. So I'm going to press that button. And you'll notice if I click anywhere with this new icon on this model and click and hold, it's going to give me these little dotted lines around that. What that means is that's going to actually add a slice into my model. Pretty cool. I'm going to do that again right here. Okay. Now I'm going to right click over my object and go to Face, select here, select here. And I'm going to make sure I click on this little button that looks like a Rubik's Cube with a hammer. That's our modeling toolkit. I'm going to press Extrude. It's going to give you this little weird thing. It's got square and an arrow. We're going to go and pull from this direction out. That extruded some faces. I'm going to move that over this way. Okay. Now you can get more fancy with that. You can add more extrusions. You can slice that, and I would definitely want you to do that for the sake of not taking all of your time for this video. I'm going to just quickly add that here. Control D, rotate that around, and we'll plop that one in there. And let's give him a material, or him the sticks of material. And I'm going to right click on that because they're both selected. So I had one selected, hold down Shift, select the other one, right click, assign material to selection, and let's take another picture for grandma. We're going to press this button. Okay, now we're not currently talking about lighting, which is going to be very important in the future, but this at least allows for us to take a 3D object and get a two-dimensional image out of that. So File, Save Image, give it a name and a home, save it. Make sure that it's not alias pics, but something your computer can read, like a JPEG or TIFF or PNG. Any of those things will work. And save that out. So that's what I would like to see for this exercise. What I don't want to see is, let's say that we turn this thing off and we go back to our Move tool. The snowman's not going away. We need to make that snowman go away. So what we're going to do is make sure we start up here, left click and drag down. Now we have all of our objects selected, and we're going to right click on the Do You Want to Build a Snowman layer and add those objects. So add selected objects. Now the snowman's gone and he's where he's supposed to be. So that's good. Alright, that's this exercise. I will see you on the animation exercise.